Welcome in, welcome back, welcome to Stream-of-Unconsciousness, where the subject's made up and the words don't matter. Today I thought we'd take a look at stuff that I don't collect, even though I apparently have made an effort to start. Not really an effort, I sort of fell into it. I don't collect 7-inch figures. I don't, they're too big. I don't like, I prefer the 1/18 scale figures. They're just easier. There's more of them. They're easier to collect. They're easier to pose. They're easier to store. Well, let's say pose, but they're easier to display. They don't take up as much room. Having said that, I've sort of fallen into the 7-inch rabbit hole a tiny bit with Star Trek. Now, this one I actually got back in the day when Enterprise was still a thing, an ongoing thing. So this is clearly Captain Archer. I believe this was Diamond Select back in the day. He's a little bit dusty, sorry about that. I've had him for a long time. I don't actually have any of his original equipment. I should probably try and hunt some stuff down for him. And he's on a non-standard base. It actually came with a base that sort of looked like the ship, but not exactly. Yeah, they were interesting sculpts. They're very good-looking sculpts. The upper body is a harder plastic. The mid body is a soft vinyl cover that hides articulation for the hips and the waist. The waist turns, the hips spin, to make it look a little more seamless. All right, we'll get there. Quit focusing on Sulu. We'll get there. But yeah, I bought this way back in the day. I didn't get around to getting the rest of them, probably because Archer was my favorite, and there were also, financial issues, as there often are with collecting stuff. You get into something and it's like, oh, well, that got too expensive for me to compete with. So yeah, good sculpting. Again, 7-inch, which was not something that I was really collecting even back then, but I thought, what the hell, I like the way this figure looks, and I had picked it up back then. Since then, recently, I happened to catch an auction on eBay for these McFarlane Captain Kirk and Captain Picard figures. Now, again, these came out, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. Again, these are things that I missed in the initial run. I do like the sculpting on them. I've never been a fan of McFarlane hips. They're just they look okay, and they move really well. They just look weird to me. I don't know if you've ever seen a McFarlane hip work. Let's see which foot is, there we go. Sorry, which foot had the peg in it. So they move forward and back, and then they do this weird thing where they kick out like this with that joint, and it gives it a kind of a little bit of a weird look, but it works. It's actually functional. So I like the sculpting on these quite a lot. I think this is one of the better looking sculpts for Captain Picard. The face is not quite exact, but it's pretty close. It's a good color. It's a good sculpt. It's very solid. It's actually a pretty heavy figure. Same thing with the Captain Kirk. This is the reason why I picked up these two. They were sold together. This is, in my opinion, let's move you out of the way. Make it so that you're not in the way. Anyway, this is the best, as far as the body is concerned, Captain Kirk 7-inch action figure I've seen. I've seen the not Super Zone, the Quan. Anyway, I've seen the other ones out there. I said it a minute ago, and now my brain is gone. The Asylum ones, I've seen various ones, and they're all while the joints aren't bad for posability, they're all very toyetic, and I prefer the clean lines on this sculpt. I really do. Again, it's not because of the way it's constructed and sculpted. It has exactly zero movement in the waist. Same with the Picard figure. But I love the way the tunic looks. I love the way the arms look. If I had one thing I would change about the articulation on the arms, it's that that little blurb there prevents the arm from coming up in front of him. It goes higher if you move it slightly out like that, rather than here. Again, came with a decently sculpted phaser and communicator, which I'm not going to take out of his hands because it's a pain in the ass on camera as the camera keeps going in and out of focus. Very good sculpting on the boots and pants, including the flares. This is my favorite in this scale of the ones that I have seen, which I have not collected because I didn't like them as much. And I don't collect 7-inch figures, clearly. This is the best one that I have seen, and I really, really like this character. It's, again, the portrait is not quite 100%. It is, depending on, like that's definitely William Shatner. That, not so much as exact, but, you know, it's difficult to do portraiture in this scale. Believe me, I know. So that's I really, really like the way that figure looks. Now, because I had done that, I decided to go ahead and look at Nacelle Toys briefly. Again, the Nacelle Toys is doing an interesting thing with their 7-inch Star Trek figures, in that... Can we fix your fate, please? There we go. In that they're doing characters that have not been released. If you see a release of Star Trek figures, if you're really lucky, they do the entire bridge crew. If you're not as lucky, they don't. You get Kirk and Spock, and then maybe some aliens, and then that's it. Maybe Khan. Really depending on the company and the release, but not a lot of the secondary and tertiary characters don't ever really get around to release. And I will say Playmates has done a lot. Excuse me while I adjust the camera just a tiny bit. Playmates has done a lot over the years to include a plethora of figures from the various episodes, but the other companies just really, I think they're trying to cash in on the Kirk and Spock being popular, and then a little bit extra to also maybe make some money, but they don't really get much into the rest of the crew, or, again, secondary or tertiary characters. So what I found the most interesting there for me was Captain Sulu. Now, I really like the sculpting on this figure. He comes in I'm going to move him back a tiny bit there. He comes in a very nice window box, which you can see part of here. And it's one of those weird angles at the top for no good reason. Has some good pictures on the side of said Captain Sulu. And he runs through who Captain Hikaru Sulu is, and who some of the... this is actually the first wave. As you can see, it included Jellicoe, Captain Garrett, Tuvix. I'm not sure why there was a lot of call for Tuvix, but there you go. Valkyris, Archer in his alternate universe uniform, which is, if I was going to order another one, it would probably be that one. And then Peter Preston, Wei Yun, that's all of their Wave 1 figures. It comes with a number of replacement hands and things. He's got a lot of things, as you can see. He's got the... as costumers affectionately refer to this costume as the Maroon Monster, which began in Star Trek II. He's got the open flap. That is actually something that can be replaced. There's actually a panel. This is actually what comes on the character with the figure when you buy it. These can be removed. My suggestion is use a plastic spatula or something like that kind, so you don't actually damage the slightly softer plastic of the panel that can be removed. But it comes with two different styles of communicators, one from circa Star Trek 3-ish, and then a more classically styled one. It's got different hands. As you can see, these hands are specifically designed to hold his cup of tea. You have other ones that hold phasers, and other ones that are just like fists and things. And you've got two different styles of phasers. You've got the Star Trek 2 style phaser. Can we get a little closer? We can't get it. I can probably take those out, I guess. That's the one thing about having a tray full of accessories is it's very easy for them to just bounce all over the floor if you're not careful. So there we go. So we have, as I said, the Star Trek 2 style phaser and a Star Trek 4 style phaser from the Undiscovered Country, which is where Captain Sulu's really from. So it's interesting they included the Star Trek 2 style. Again, multiple hands, multiple communicators. I'll show you the communicator. Oh, I'll tell you what I will do as I get my fat paws in this box. There's the front panel that actually comes on the figure for his jacket. As you see, it's got a larger piece here and a smaller piece at the bottom. So the larger piece is actually the strap that comes over the shoulder does not actually move. It's part of the rest of the uniform. So you need to just pry it up out from under that a little bit. I would suggest going from the bottom. So I thought the T looked a little bit more relaxed, so I opened his flap. But you've also got again, like the Star Trek 3-ish style communicator, which I always found amusing because for me, this redesign for the movies wasn't as futuristic as the one they actually used in the series, so I always thought that was funny, for me personally. And then it's slightly more classically styled. It doesn't have the black body like the original ones did, but it's more classically styled. Not completely, because it's all buttons instead of blinky lights and swirly things. But there you go. Good posability. One thing that does freak me out a little bit about is that he doesn't actually have ankle rockers per se. The ankle rocker is actually up at the bottom of the cuff on his pants, which does make the posing of the ankles a little bit weird. The feet do twist, the knees bend, it's got thigh cuts, very posable hips. Paint slop, happens. And then the Excelsior name and whole registry on his teacup. And they get the belt buckle back there that's hidden by his hands that I posed. But overall, very, very nicely sculpted. It's not a bad likeness of George Takei. And it comes with enough accessories to choke a horse if you like hands. Like I said, it's got a ton of hands. And a couple of other different things you can do. I just, classic, I am so much more cool than you kind of Mr. Sulu thing, Captain Sulu thing with his teacup. I just thought that pose was great, so that's the one I chose to put him in. Ooh, as we hit people in the back. There we go. So that's it. That's it for my 7-inch Star Trek collection at the time. I don't really, unless I pick up that other Archer, I don't really see that I'm going to be expanding this again, because I just find it easier to display the 1/18 scale 3.75-inch figures, 4-inch figures. They're just easier to collect, cheaper to collect, and easier to display. But having said that, I do like these. I do like the ones I've got a lot. Anyway, I think that's it for this time. So again, please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, and we will see you next time.